Okay, everybody, welcome. So for today's meeting, the agenda, just checking in on old business. Want to finalize the RK session date, checking in on the Connectathon logistics, and I thought any walk-on topics. And if we didn't have too much to discuss, I don't know if we want to dive into, some deeper issue, but if we didn't have anything to discuss, maybe we could go through the GitHub issues and the PRs. So that's an idea. Any thoughts on the agenda? Sound good to folks? Okay, so we should be able to start the meeting, have the meeting, even if one of us is not available at the time, and record it. Igor, I see you had an item. Is Igor? I thought he was. Oh, there he is. Yep. You had an item about finding that FHIR path branch for boundary conditions. This was going on for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, I asked in the JS community, and they said they have no one working on this, so we took it in our hands and actually started this function for data, for dates and for times and for date times. Actually, we ran into some trouble, and we are on our way of building our own version of low boundary and high boundary functions. I guess we'll finish by our next meeting.
Okay, great. Yeah, I remember that Nikolai said if we can't find the code for this, or you guys would take it on. So it sounds like that's moving forward. Great. We don't have John today, right? No. Nikolai add functional model PR to the spec.
Yeah, let me tell a little bit about this. It is not PR for now. So I created Google Doc. So I started working on content. I share it in Zulip and I share it here in the chat. So everybody welcome to do comments and work on this. So I don't think so I initially was thinking maybe like write separate doc for functional model, but I think eventually it should be merged with a description of the data structure, view definition resource. So let's work together on this. So I share it and I'm working today and tomorrow on this document. So feel free to add comments through the Google Doc and let's test this workflow. So I think it could be quite efficient, like working on text through Google Doc. So
yeah.
So I shared the link. It's editor link. So please turn like suggestion mode or write comments. Or if you see like mistake, so just fix it in text.
Great. Yeah, I think that certainly I think works for me. It should, I think work well for the whole group. So yeah, definitely, Alex, you can take a look at it too, since you're working on implementation. I think that'll be great. Bashir, Ryan. So I'll put that down as a to-do for everybody. So finalize the next one. I'm just going down the list of to-dos. Finalize the meeting date for the Parquet session. It looks like, pull it up. If anybody had voted, it looks like most folks are available. The most folks are available on May 7th, so in 2 weeks. So if that works for everybody, I should say let's just lock down that date. Any objections?
Yeah, I mean, no objections. The only thing is that I think I mentioned this before. Can we just make sure that folks from Bulk Export are also present? Especially, I think, I don't know, Dan may have some thoughts about, some opinions about how the Parquet schema should look like.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. He didn't vote in the poll, so
Exactly, that's why I'm asking.
I'll reach out to Dan about date and just make sure the date works for him.
Yeah.
At the 7th date. Okay. I'll do that. All right. Next up for me, setup sheet for a semi-formal review process for spec and tests. I didn't do that. So I was going to do that later today. Also for me, add glossary spec to PR. I did not do that either. Hope to do that next day or two. I did ask Sandy about room options for a breakout session for us during the Connectathon. And she asked when and for how long and for how many people. So I just wanted to bring that to the group. Any thoughts on what I should tell Sandy? I basically said I thought maybe like Sunday afternoon for maybe 2 hours and maybe for 20 people, just to give her something to anchor on.
Maybe for 30 people, and let's put it on schedule and invite the guests to have a small presentation here for newcomers into SQL and FHIR.
Yeah, I thought I know mid-afternoon people get a little slumped, but we can have coffee. That way, like on Saturday, we can go around to different groups and say, hey, we're having this thing tomorrow afternoon. So, and then people free up. So
yeah, if organizers gonna publish some schedule, so I would love to have it on schedule. And let's invite Graham to this session and try to make like a round table, some small presentation on round table. So just
do you have any times that are like blackout times for you? Trying to figure something out. I think we can make.
Yeah, that would be nice. You can ask Graham in a Zulip chat. So he's working. He's traveling through Australia and like working a few hours in a day.
He's unironically on walkabout. So that sounds good. I'll check in with Graham and then ask Sandy. And also I'll check in with the last one is ping Dan about hosting because he's doing, I think, the bulk FHIR track. So having some folks have a discussion about SQL and FHIR there. So that's a to-do for the whole group, just to go around to folks who are going to the Connect in different tracks, saying, we'd love to talk to you about, and your group about SQL and FHIR. And then once we have the date and time for a breakout session, I think Sunday afternoon sounds like the right time to me. Then, say come to this. I think that is it for anything else on old business, connected on logistics, scheduling. Nope. Okay. So that's it. That's pretty much the agenda I had. Any walk-on topics people want to discuss?
If we wanted to take a look at maybe there's the shareable, I created some profiles for the tabular profile and shareable profile. There's pull requests up for that, but we can go through that if folks are interested. But that's the only kind of new topic I think I have today.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I had, I think, a question on it. And so, yeah, why don't you pull that up, Ryan, for the group and just walk through your PR?
Yeah. So probably easiest just I can just bring up the build of the site here. Let me just share that.
I had an adjacent question when I was trying to look at your PR. Actually, is every commit being built into a site, or is it just the ones on master?
As far as I know, it's just the ones on master. I didn't set it. I actually am not strongly familiar how that build automation works. So yeah, unfortunately, there's not a published branch site that people can review prior to merge.
Yeah, I couldn't tell, but then I installed the IG publisher on my laptop, so I can build it locally. But I was curious. And it might be helpful.
Yeah, it would be helpful. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but that might be a topic to, I'd probably have to go ping the IG publisher channel or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think that, and we can bring up the pull request itself as well, but I think that the key elements is and one of these kind of added before, but then I've kind of changed the structure a little bit to hopefully make it a little bit clearer. But essentially over on our artifacts, we have a couple, so there's the view definition itself, but we also have some profiles now. So one is the view definition, which basically adds some constraints. I think we talked, this has been up for a while, so this one is not new this week. I cleaned it up a little bit. But yeah, this adds some constraints there in this space to basically make some fields required. And then the other one is just this tabular view definition, where really there's nothing new in this profile. It just declares any view definition that supports this profile will be required, that essentially that every field produces only a simple scalar value. And then kind of to illustrate that is I created this example for shareable patient demographics. And so you can kind of just to see how that would be materialized. It's exactly the same as our existing patient demographics example, but in order to satisfy this profile, you just set the profile, on your resource or on your logical model, just as you would on any other FHIR resource. So this is basically how we would label, quote unquote, FHIR, or basically these view definitions as shareable and tabular, which may be a common case. And so this is labeled such, and then the rest is just the same thing. I did add the type of fields to the columns themselves. Yeah, so I think that's basically all there is to it. I think the one outstanding sort of question, topic, conversation is, so as it stands today, as it's written up, is if something is a shareable view definition, we made the type field required built into the profile itself. So the profile will check that type field is set there, and then basically fail the view definition if the type field isn't set. I know there was some discussion of maybe making that type field optional and just assuming that if it's not set in a shareable view definition, that it is just a string, and that could probably save some boilerplate when writing these up. I had a little bit of mixed feelings on that. I can see good reasons to go either way. One nice thing is it's nice to be able to have the profile validation, stronger profile validation to check this, but it does mean if folks are trying to write a shareable view definition by hand, it does mean adding type strings in a bunch of places where they could otherwise be omitted. So we can discuss whether we want to keep that or make it optional. I think that there's good arguments to be made for either one. So yeah, anyway, so basically this thing, this example and this tabular view definition is what I have up in a pull request now, and I can just bring the pull request here. I think, I'll just put it in the chat. So folks want to, all right. Yeah, so there's the link to that pull request to add this content in it. And so, you can explore that actually if you like, but it basically just everything that's rendered on this page. Yeah, so that's the main thing I wanted to share there.
Great, thanks, Ryan. Any comments from the group? Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, just one quick question. So Are we putting any constraint for the tabular view definition that the type should come from this value set, meaning that the primitive?
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's a good point. Maybe there is a way that, yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if there's a way we can add, we could have like a FHIR path in the constraint there. Yeah, so, right. Actually, that's
So
a
the
good idea.
primitive value set is what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, is there an existing value set for primitive codes? If there is, that'd be awesome.
I guess
Yeah,
all the
it's-
primitives.
Okay, well, yeah, let me explore that a little bit because I think that
And
that's
FHIR primitive is much broader. Do we want to support all FHIR primitives like Markdown or OID or something like this, or just like
Right.
basic? Yeah.
Exactly. That's also a good point. Yeah. Maybe it should be a narrowed down set of primitive types.
right. So, I mean, yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. We need to be more specific in this area. Yeah, I think being precise here is really important. So, yeah, narrow down set of so yeah, let me take that as a to-do. I appreciate the feedback on that. And we can, yeah, we'll narrow down the set of primitives. I mean, at first glance, I think I imagine like maybe just the FHIR path built-in primitives, but I will need to do a little more digging to make sure that's the correct set there as well.
Okay. Added that down as a to-do. Ryan to explore constraints on the tabular profile, some set of reasonable set of primitives. Cool.
Yeah, and at least, I mean, if ideally as a constraint, and if nothing else, it should be explicitly documented there. So yeah, I'll follow up on that. Thanks for the thought.
Right. Sounds good. I think Alex had a question in the chat.
No, but I think there is a collection keyword on the column. And if you want it to always be a single value, you could like force it to not be a collection. Is that apply here? Let me see.
False. I think so. Yeah. It's a collection false. Right. I think that's what we'd want there. Anything else on the shareable view profile or the tabular view profile? Can you actually, Ryan, can you go back and check? Can you look at the differential again? That was my question in the PR. Is it showing up for you?
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, it's there.
Where you have a constraint on the.
Yeah, so I can just bring up all right, let me represent here. All right, so if we go to, yeah, so it'll be in the shareable view definition and the differential view, so you can see the different items there.
I was either looking in the wrong place or I swear I didn't see it in my.
I saw your screenshot on GitHub. I think you were looking at the key elements tab, and that one is I'm actually not 100% sure how that's computed, but I think that the key elements tab is only stuff that absolutely has to be in every single in the resource. And since the column structure is technically optional above that, then I think you wouldn't see what you might have expected there in terms of a differential perspective. So I mean, I think that, but it's showing up. I mean, the changes as they stand today are being displayed as I'd expect in the shareable tab.
Okay, I just wanted to double check that since I had that experience, but seems totally. So if there are no other comments on the profiles that Ryan is showing, I have a couple of to-dos outstanding on that. And so next up, so I had a thought that we could go through.
Oh, the current issue list?
Yeah.
Just on GitHub. Okay. All right. So yeah, hopefully that's the list. Is there areas we wanted to jump into in this space?
I did not have a plan beyond looking at it. You want to look at just go through them? Bashir, you have your hand up.
Yeah, before, I mean, since we are going to the issue list, and this is my fault actually, because we discussed this a few weeks ago and I forgot to actually bring it up on Zulu and maybe create an issue for it. But at least among the people who are here, do we agree that we need a FHIR version element also in the definition? And I mean, for the context, we discussed this because the FHIR path can be version specific.
I thought we did add that as a
Do we?
field.
Yeah, I think there is.
We discussed it could be like range of FHIR versions, not only one FHIR version.
So I think that there's different I think when we see FHIR version, we got to ask him the version of what. I think it is required in shareable, yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay.
And it is. Yeah. It's okay. It's 0 to star in the base profile, right?
Yeah, it's star. But it's 1 to star in the shared, so you have to specify at least one FHIR version for the shared profile. So what we want.
So that should probably
just out of curiosity, was this in here like a few weeks ago that we discussed this? Why nobody mentioned it?
I vaguely have a thought about it, maybe like a month, 2 months ago.
Oh, we added like a month ago.
I think it's been there for a bit. I don't remember exactly when. I think it's been there for a little bit, but honestly, I just forgot that we added it. I mean, but,
okay, sorry.
We're moving fast, Bashir, with the commits. Okay, cool. All right. So I don't know. Alex, got your hand up.
I mean, a couple of these recent ones are mine, so I could explain them if you want. I was just going through. I was going through all the unit tests because I'm implementing them. And there's a few that I don't know if I'm wrong or if they're wrong. But so for the top one that we have on the screen right now, one of the type I don't think is a valid FHIR type. Instead of the type being string, it says type is name. So that's what the invalid type name and unit test function join issue is about. I think maybe on Ryan's screen, and I point that out. Yeah, right there.
Do you want to click into that one?
Yeah, this is pulled from one of the unit tests in the type. My thing crashed on it. I don't know if that's.
No, this is definitely bug. Just you
Okay.
can request or Igor will fix it. Yeah. So
Yeah, and I can tell that in our implementation we don't do type checking, so we never encountered it. It's a bug. Yeah.
Okay.
we'll
the
have
bug
like
of-
we have some validation. Yes, Igor, in the JavaScript version, so we can update validation with the list of types. So.
Yeah, we sure can.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Cool.
Let's fix it in reference implementation validation, and maybe even write test for that, so that type should be valid in a valid list.
Oh yeah, like an expect error would be good. Yeah, and then my other one was in the unit tests, there's different sections. There's FHIR path.json, and it has string joins in there, but there's also a function join FHIR path one. I can share
Which ticket? Yeah, which ticket is this, Alex?
Yeah, I think Alex can share the like screen and
Yeah, if I share my screen, it might be
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, that makes more sense.
rather than pointing. And all right, there we are. Let's see. All right, can people see this? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So these different sections. One is plain FHIR path, and then one is specifically for join. But in the old FHIR path, there's these two joins at the bottom, and instead of returning a null value for the join, so for the patient 2, name given is null, and then when you join, it should return an empty set, which turns into null, but it turns into an empty string instead of a null value. And I think I had a thread of this on, what is it called? Truly, I don't know what it's called. the chat system that we use. And so if I go into the tests, FHIR path, all the way at the bottom, I think instead of empty strings, these should be, if I remember correctly.
And can you show the input resources? They just don't have. Yeah.
Yep. There's PT1. Yeah, and there's
No given means null, and we joining empty. And that's a question to FHIR path as well. Yeah. So I'm not sure. As we discuss it, so we're expecting people will use FHIR path implementations, and so you found that FHIR path.
Yeah, this is the version 2. Yeah, and it says if input is empty, results empty. And I believe someone, I think I chatted on the, 1 second.
Looks like this is a bug in the FHIR path engine that's being used here.
Then maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, but we can fix it. Yeah, and we should report it to FHIR path JS as well. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't know if that.
But that's good point. Yeah, and we can discuss with John as well his implementation.
Okay,
So
cool.
let's discuss in the Zulip chat what should be behavior. We can bring Brian to discussion, the guy who is driving FHIR path stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, him. Okay.
He is already participating. Yeah. Okay.
That's a good catch, though. I mean, that's a good catch. You probably found a bug in the JavaScript FHIR path implementation. I'm guessing.
All right. I didn't know if the tests are auto-generated or like manually typed. So anyway, but yeah, that's all I had.
Okay.
Should I, Nikolai, should I sign Igor or Dimitri to follow up on the ticket?
Yeah, I think yes. Igor, will you work on this?
Yeah, sure.
I'm just noting what we were saying in the ticket itself, but just
And it looks we need the fork of FHIR path branch. Okay.
it's fix upstream. Great. Any other tickets that you filed, Alex? I don't see any.
I think just some documentation stuff in the implementation tab. It's missing a sort columns step. So the base, when you do the row products of all the columns, it ends up with the wrong column ordering based off of Ryan's new column ordering, where it goes like column select union all. And I think John made a ticket about that.
John did. I'm just thinking who we assigned to work on.
And what is the overall impression about test suite, Alex? Can you share it? Because we designed it like with the special stuff in mind. So I just want to check.
Sure. I was confused about some wording of like row partials, I think, but that's just because I'm not used to that language. Is a row partial or a partial row? That's just the same thing as a column, right?
I think it's like a record or something like this. But this is
Okay.
a terminology which were invented by Josh Mandel, so I still not sure. And it was like quick description of algorithm. And I mean like this JSON test suite. So that what is your experience with this test suite? Was it helpful?
Oh, the unit tests.
Unit tests, yeah. I'm
Oh
talking
yeah,
about.
I totally could not have gotten that. Could not have gotten it right without the tests. So I think they've helped quite a bit, especially if like certain documentation parts. Sometimes it's just hard to describe it in words, so you just need a test to fail so that you can see why it's failing. I think it's just invaluable to have that in general. Yeah.
In your implementation journey, they really help you to move forward. Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think so.
Okay.
I would have been stumbling a lot longer on it if I didn't have those to base my stuff on. And I would have had to make my own tests and like all that kind of stuff. Yep.
Okay, amazing. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So I think I think we have some cleanup work, but I don't think on the issues, and let's just take a look at the PRs real quick. I think they're all assigned. Oh, tabular profile. We're just talking about that. High boundary, column ordering. I think everything is essentially assigned here. I don't think there's any real discussion that's needed on those. So I think if we're good, we can just open it up. We don't have to go through the tickets one by one. Yeah, anything on folks' mind that we haven't covered?
Yeah, maybe and for Alex and Bash guys, whenever you're ready to publish your test results for the matrix, please contact Igor and Dmitry and let's do this. So for now we have a like reference implementation 8 box and results, and it would be nice to have 2 more.
Yeah, I have been literally doing this today. So hopefully by tomorrow I'll so I implemented the test. So the status on our implementation, the tests I implemented a few weeks ago. There are a couple of tests that I have excluded for different reasons. I mean,
Yep.
one is related actually to FHIR join, the base implementation. So I think in the FHIR like the base library, I think in R4, I think there is an issue. And I think actually now that I'm thinking that I think my question about version that I raised like 1 or 2 months ago was about maybe FHIR version. So maybe I'm mistaking that. So anyway, there are a couple of tests that I have excluded, but I can publish the current matrix that we have, and then we can include it in the GitHub page.
Maybe in future we can like make
Yeah.
exclusion explicit, so you can report
Yeah.
that you don't want to like run this test, and so they exclude it. Maybe in this report you can like put special message this test was excluded because blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
Exactly. So there is actually the results section in the report, which I think it has like a past column true and so on. So maybe
yeah.
we can have like a more generic like a status, which is not pass and it's not fail, but it's like exclude.
Yeah.
How should we publish that? Just make a PR, find where in the code I should put my own thing, or
There should be description in README how
Okay,
to publish
cool.
tests. So it is 2 steps. So you should register your implementation in a implementation JSON.
okay. Yep.
And while this registration, you like committing the URL, which will point to test results, which should be JSON of specific form. And then this view will grab the results and put it into the table. So, and on a browser, the only thing you should do that you should enable course on your site, so the front-end JavaScript can grab these test results from your location.
Okay. So do other people keep it in a GitHub repo? Would that work? Or do I have to host it on a separate website type thing?
So I think anywhere that has a HTTP, you can fetch it publicly with HTTP with no authentication. I think everywhere should work.
Okay, cool. I'll give that a try after I get them all working.
I think reference implementation posting it to GitHub pages, but yeah, I know it works. Maybe use Google Bucket for that, but probably GitHub will work as well. Yeah.
Arjun, do we have anything else? Because I want to go back again to that version thing. I think I remember what was the issue.
I don't think.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go for it.
So yeah, I was actually looking. Yeah, I mean the FHIR version was always actually there. I mean it is in our implementation as well. So it we used to call resource version, and I think a few months ago John changed it. I was just looking at the GitHub. John changed it to FHIR version. That's why I actually have to update our code as well because we still have like resource version. But that's one point. I think the issue that I had back then, like 2 months ago, was that, so I think I guess that's the question, and that's because I'm not very familiar with FHIR. So we have different FHIR versions as well, right? So like a specific example, which is the one that I was debugging. So in join, like FHIR join, I was looking at the Java code. There is one version, which I think probably it was in R4, that was expecting that there should always be an argument. Like join should have like a comma or something as a string argument. And then there was, if you look at I think the normative like FHIR documentation, it says that, it could be no argument is also accepted. And then when I was looking at the Java implementation, actually the implementation in the code, then if I remember correctly, R5 version was accepting the no argument join in FHIR, and then R4 was throwing an exception. Is this what I'm saying? Does it make sense?
But this is not the FHIR version. This is FHIR implementation version of Happy. So because
Right,
I think
but then
FHIR has two versions, yes, the first and the second only, and so it doesn't have R5 and R4 FHIR versions. Maybe I'm wrong, because as I know, the FHIR was published as a separate specification, and it was as is almost like few years, and right now guys are working on the second version. So there are only two versions of FHIR and probably more implementation in Happy. But I'm not expert in FHIR as well, so we can like invite or ask Brian about this.
Yeah, and in the FHIR documentation, it's in the standard for trial use. So it seems like a new function, and it clearly has an optional separator in it. So I think theoretically it should be optional no matter what for new versions of FHIR.
I see. So then I think this is probably not a FHIR version issue. Maybe it's a FHIR implementation version.
Yes,
perhaps.
Yeah. What I see, it has a draft 2.1. Yeah, and if we go to directory of published version of FHIR, there are only few of them. Like they are definitely not R3 or R4. So I can quickly show you the screen. So
yeah, I'm looking at
here are the version of FHIR, yes, and so now we have this 2.0, which were like published in 2020.
I see. So I guess the high level question is, because it seems that the two, the FHIR version and the FHIR version are two kind of independent like tracks. Is there like a concern to document the FHIR version as well, or no?
I would love to have no version for FHIR, but if it's like if there are breaking changes between FHIR versions, okay, so then we probably should introduce it, because we took only subset, yes, and I'm really interested. I never analyzed like FHIR about breaking changes. Did they do breaking changes or not? I'm not sure. We can invite again Brian to the next session and prepare all our set about questions about FHIR.
Okay, yeah, I see. Okay,
because maybe they quite good like to not break things.
Right.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
So we can certainly invite Brian to the next meeting or a follow-up meeting. Obviously, we can see them at the committee.
Or we can catch Brian and connect it.
Yeah. Let's suggest to do that. Okay, so that sounds good. Yeah.
But sorry, just to finish this, there is also the other side of it, that let's say if they add something in future, like let's say join required a parameter now, and later on they make it optional, for example, right? Then I think it is still backward compatible, meaning that you can still execute like all joins. But if someone writes using the new FHIR path, then the view definition runners do not necessarily process that properly. So you see what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be trade-off. Yeah, and we should think carefully about this. I don't see like a solution for that. Yeah. So
okay, cool.
But probably having subset is a good stuff for us. So and I would love to like escape this version. I'm working on a post about like FHIR breaking changes. I'm still disappointed with that. I just analyzed all the breaking changes in like 5 versions, and I wasn't able to find any breaking change which can be really motivated, that like inevitable. Yes. So all of them looks like people, if they just were careful, so we will have only one version of FHIR, and that's real problem. So I did analysis of this stuff, and it's just a style of thinking, and it's hard to like explain to guys that just stop breaks. It is easy.
That's the goal for R6, I'm very explicitly is like, I mean, and that was at the last Connectathon. It's like, yeah, there's the goals like R6 is supposed to be, it's good normative, and they can still have fields that are marked for trial use, and those could have breaking changes, but unless a field's explicitly marked trial use, then everything should be normative in R6. And so we'll see if we actually pull it off. But
yeah, let's see. Yeah, we discussed this with Lloyd many times and Graham. Yeah, the like bright future and dark past.
It's the standards folks on one end and the implementers folks on another end.
Yeah, because a lot of people starting struggling. That what I were predicting for many times. Let's say we're doing form implementation, and now they did a lot of breaking changes in the questionnaire, and that's terrible because if people want to publish libraries of questionnaire, now they have to publish it in 3 versions of questionnaire, and it just some stupid renames, which I don't know, just keep it as is, yeah, or maybe deprecate some fields. So, but okay, so that's my personal way.
It's a little bit of a rant. Good. No, it'll be great in blog form too, I think. So, all right, I think made some progress today. We have 10 minutes left. Anything else for the group in the last couple of minutes?
I just can make teaser that probably next meeting we will present like view definition builder, or maybe in a while. Yeah. But and there is another problem. So I will skip next meeting because we have a FHIR meetup about security. Maybe you've seen it, online meetup about security labels, and we have a clash.
Okay. Are you going to have somebody else present it?
Yes, probably, or maybe in one meeting. But in one we're gonna have Parquet, yeah.
We think so. Yeah, I'm just confirming. But
Then maybe like in it too.
Okay.
But it's ready, guys. Just working on like shaping it and writing documentation. But yeah, we're gonna have like community tool to visually build.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
actually really nice. Yeah, it would be really nice because we also have we have a very simple, very, very simple, I mean, similar to what we have, I guess, in the base implementation in our, like a small web app tool that we have, that you can write a view definition and then have a resource and apply the view definition on the resource and then get the result. And then another thing that we want to add to that is to...
No, you're good. I lost you for a second.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing that we want to add is to apply it on sample resources from the FHIR server. So, make changes to your view definition, apply it to some sample resources from the FHIR server, and then just see the results, very quickly. I suppose, with something like your tool, it would be even, much better to actually create the view definition much faster and then apply it on resources. Are you planning to have it like as an open source tool, or?
Yeah, this is gonna be open source, but written in
Right.
Clojure. Sorry.
So basically closed source, right?
It's not closed source.
I'm
I know
joking.
that. Yeah, that's funny. Like the couple people from FHIR community wrote me that they started learning Clojure as well. So we have some Clojure guys, and Ryan is contributor into Clojure ecosystem. Yeah, he worked on Clara rules for many years, and this is one of famous Clojure projects. Josh Mandel know Clojure as well.
That's right. I always forget, and I'm always reminded. Like we talk about Clojure for a while, so gotta bone up on my functional programming a little bit.
it is a beautiful language.
I've tried so many times. It hurts every time. It hasn't clicked yet.
We should have a little intro to Clojure session in Dallas then, like little
There you go. That'd be great.
little help Alex learn Clojure.
I don't know Clojure. I'm just curious why. That's all. I mean, why you do it in Clojure? Is there like a particular reason? Like, is it good for something?
Yeah, it is.
And-
So it's a functional Lisp. It is a minimalistic language, but very powerful. For me, it's very important that it has a REPL-driven style of development, and this is if you can think like Python notebooks, yes, but it's even like Python notebook on steroid because you're writing production code in that style. So that's experience which is hard to like find in any other language, because you can just talk with your runtime, and for me it like I can be 10 times more efficient than with a Python or JavaScript or Java or C TypeScript. So you just do things much faster because you're talking with a runtime, and then interrupt to Java, yeah, and like straightforward. So every libraries are available. And sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, and all that I found with it is that of all like the sort of practical languages, it has the strongest stance of immutability, and like you never like mutate a data structure. You're always like running a function, returning a new data structure, and it has like a really clever approach for shared state between the data structures that you're transforming. So you can apply like a very, very purely functional style, which eliminates like entire categories of problems, right? There's like, I mean, by just something that's like all these race conditions or that sort of thing, or you have people mutating your shared state, and like, where the hell did that change come from, and all that just goes away in that functional purity. So that is the appeal. And yeah, for several years, I wrote quite a lot of Clojure code, and I miss it. It's not something I'm doing as much these days. It's not one of our primary languages here at Google. So as a result, I can't do it professionally. But yeah, there's definitely a lot to it to like.
Yeah, I mean, Nikolai turned me on to Rich Hickey, who's just the language inventor, designer, is amazing speaker, and I think thinker on languages and
Everyone should watch
everything.
the Simple Made Easy talk by Rich. Yeah, I mean, it's probably like 15 years old, but at least now. But I think it still stands up really well. It's one of the best software engineering talks I've ever seen, regardless of the language. Yeah, so definitely watch Simple Made Easy. It's worth 45 minutes for sure.
I like design. I said design in practice. I can't remember. It's the one about agendaizing design. Trying to use that methodology and learning a lot about, I don't know, Latin roots of Greek roots of words. His classic take. It's great. It's brilliant. I agree. Like some of the best presentations and thinking about language design and working, in sort of practical working. So I really,
yeah, and he's really influential. So let's say these immutable data structures were copied in Scala and other languages, like exactly what Rich Hickey invented. Yes. And for example, I found a very nice story behind like JavaScript promises that to be honest, like Clojure futures was a original like a trigger to create promises in JavaScript. So that's very funny curve. Like the early version of Clojure was published with a feature, and the guys from JavaScript world found it, and that's how JavaScript got promises.
I absolutely believe that. Right, like when you look at the folks who developed like React and Redux and things like that, I'm sure they were taking from those ideas.
Yeah. And for example, the Lambda architecture, have you heard about this? Yeah, like analytical stuff. It's as well influenced by Clojure, by Rich Hickey talks, not by Clojure, but Rich Hickey talks. So it's a small, very nice language and very influential.
All right, so yep, as always, thanks everybody, and see you next week.
See you. Bye.